peace. This is Righteous. I wanted to make a video about Black liberation. I'm going to do 3 videos on Black liberation specifically. The point in it is just to give you a starting point on the things I intend to talk about, and also to give you a definition of the things that I will talk about for understanding, and a clear and concise understanding in this instance. So when I talk about Black liberation, I'm talking about all people of color around the world. Everybody means something different, but that's what I mean. Now, depending on the person, they'll tell you what melanin is. To me, and my understanding of science, everyone has melanin, but every culture and person has different amounts of melanin. Usually those who are the darkest, blue, purple, black skin color is what most people will see it as, are those who have the most melanin. They need it for the sun and to cope with it. Now, those who are much lighter, a white, pink, orange type of skin color, will have less of it because they need less for the area that they will live in. Now, regardless of how you feel about melanin, there is science that backs what melanin is and what happens to it. And that's how I see it as. So when I talk about Black liberation, I'm speaking to these people. Now, my biggest point in reference of Black liberation is with those of brown, black, and yellow background. Black people to me are those who are probably the closest descendants from Africa, which would be African Americans, Jamaicans, Haitians, Cubans, Brazilians, those sent in the slave trade unwillingly. That's my understanding. Also, those who may have just ended up, being a foreigner in a new land. There are Africans that are in India. There are Africans that are in England. We live everywhere. But in essence, it's those who are in diaspora. They intend to come back at some point, but have not come. Okay. Now, when I talk of brown people, usually I'm speaking to those who are native and indigenous in a land. So your native Australians or your Aboriginal peoples. Those who believe in Dreamtime religion. Those who have been there before the white Australians. Okay. Now, when I talk about yellow people, well, let me back up. When I talk about brown people, I also mean Native Americans in America. I will not be saying Indian because they, to my knowledge, are not Indian people. They are natives in America. But other brown people would be actual Indians who come from India. You have many who are from South America too, who are native there. So when I speak of these people, I'm talking about native peoples who have long since moved from diaspora and were very much happy where they were, regardless of colonialism or what may have them after that time. Now, when I speak of white people, what I mean is a person whom has a background in Europe, specifically Europe. I do not see Europe as a continent because of how small it is and the fact that it is still connected to Asia in a large part. It doesn't have a major divider except for the mental dissonance. So it is Eurasia to me. I may call it Europe. I may even say it's a continent. But when I talk of Europe, I talk of it as a country, and I see it as a country. I see it as a culture, and it has languages. There are European Americans in America today, obviously, and they will be considered white to me. There are European Americans in Europe. There are European Americans all across this world. And when I speak of them, that's what I will call them, or I may call them Caucasian, I may call them white. Those are the usual ones I would speak of them in. These colors don't much matter to me as much as the fact that you know what I'm speaking about in an efficient manner. So if you have any questions about what I'm saying and how I say it, I know I use jargon, but it's for efficiency. But the biggest thing is Black liberation. When I talk about black liberation, I'm speaking to the fact that melanated people around the world are an oppression. White, black, brown, blue, yellow, green, whatever color. And the fact is, if we're not all liberated, what tends to happen is that one's freedom becomes an oppression. It's very simple. Freedom becomes an oppression when everybody doesn't have a universal freedom. And so that's why I'm here, to speak on the fact that I don't believe race is real, but I know culture is. And we have to use that culture to our advantage over those who have too much power and they yield it with absolute corruption. Stick around. I'll try to break down more lingo. If you hear any and you have questions, contact me. And again, this is the Sleepy Serpent channel. I am righteous. Peace be upon you. Please like, share, and comment on this video. Peace.